Welcome to SG 1790M Transportations. Good evening from the SG 1790M newsroom. Welcome to Season 2 of SG 1790M Transportations once again. We have some pretty hot news to share in this inaugural episode of Friday Night News. So let's get into it. First up, a passenger's power bank caught fire on an EWL train at Raffles Place last month. Reportedly, the emergency communication button was activated at 5:30 p.m. that day, and station staff put out the fire with a fire extinguisher. All commuters on the train alighted safely with no injuries. However, the station's exhaust system was turned on, and white smoke was seen coming out of the power bank. The affected train was brought back to Changi Depot immediately, and there was no disruption of train services. Interestingly, the passenger was not using the power bank then. It seems that this just goes to show that commuters need to take care of their personal belongings at all times. The JB RTS link is halfway through its rail works, which are close to completion. Since September 2024, RTS Operations, or RTSO for short, the company appointed to run the line has been linking the tracks at Bukit Jaga station to the RTS Link depot in Wadi Hana in Johor Bahru. The works are now approximately 65% done. The tracks are also being installed on the viaducts around Bukit Jaga. The current track work in Malaysia will extend to Woodlands North by this July. Furthermore, the traction power, signaling, and communication systems have been installed from last month. With that being said, the JB RTS link will begin trial operations late next year, with the aim of commencing passenger service by end 2026. When ready, it will be able to carry at most 10,000 people an hour in both directions, as well as a promised train frequency of 3.6 minutes during peak hours. It was revealed that 8 train sets manufactured by CRRC Tuzhou locomotive would run on the line. The first of the 4 car trains has already been assembled and tested at the factory in Zhuzhou in China. Commuters on the Circle Line were to add 30 minutes of travel time between Promenade and Serangoon in both directions on 5th March, which later turned into 40 minutes due to a train fault. Free regular bus services and a shuttle train service between Bartley and Mountbatten were activated. And CCL being CCL, a commuter complained that the train was stuffy while she was stuck for more than 30 minutes inside the train. Now we speak to our correspondent, Unnamed. Unnamed, wasn't there already a solution for these Circle Line trains? Hence, why is the Circle Line still being affected? You see, the solution you're talking about was mentioned in an earlier episode of Friday Night News with a software patch. This software patch is for signaling faults, like the one that occurred in February on the CCL. However, this incident is different. What happened here was a train fault, possibly different from the signaling fault, which is why the software patch is out of the question. We still, however, don't know how and why the repeated disruptions are happening. LTA is still investigating how these happened and whether they are related. Thank you, Unnamed. Along the lines of the Circle Line, LTA invited the public to vote on a design for enhanced signages for wayfinding, as the circle will be completed in 2026. They displayed their different signage ideas at Promenade for the public to give their feedback. Somebody said that they do not get the inner and outer loops. To be honest, neither do I. And somebody else said that there should be extra measures like the time to get to the different stations being implemented so commuters can make informed decisions on which train to take. They also said the last thing we want is for commuters to board the wrong train and end up in the middle of nowhere. Those are wise words. Now, new bus routes will have run times of strictly less than 2 hours. This is to ensure road safety can be adhered to, as the Transport Ministry feels that any longer and bus captains may lose their focus on the road and cause discomfort. They also noted that bus run times should be scheduled correctly, as bus captains will feel the need to stay on schedule. This is partially why LTA is not adding any more long haul trunks and narrowing down on express services. Despite this, services like 858 will not be affected. It will not be shortened to meet the runtime limit. However, in similar news, 858 will be affected. Tower Transit is trialing swapping out bus captains mid route for the longest bus route in Singapore. Here's how it works. Previously, drivers used to have an optional 5-minute toilet break at Changi Airport Terminal 2 and immediately after had to continue the journey. Now, at Terminal 2, they get longer designated breaks of about 4 to 9 minutes during peak period and 6 to 10 minutes off peak. Once they get off, they are relieved by another captain who takes over. This ensures bus captains of the service with a 3-hour runtime get the breaks they deserve, while ensuring the passengers don't need to wait for them, as compared to when they had to wait for the bus captain to continue their journey. Even though 2 more bus captains were required on the 858 shift, it will pay off as all the captains get breaks to ease stress and fatigue, which Singapore has the most of. So, a useful topic to delve into. LTA says they will work with the bus operators to reduce the run times of 54 routes that are longer than 2 hours. We will now take a short break where we will take you through the minor updates in Singapore's public transport. In this break, we will talk about what SG 179AM Transportation's Season 2 has to offer. As you saw in the start, there is a new intro and outro for all videos. Isn't it epic? Now look forward to more epic hypothesis episodes with a new pre-episode podcast for every episode, setting the scene. Also, from this season, I will be making a transport syllabus for my viewers to read and understand. And at the end of each month, there will be a short quiz to conclude it. This is an education channel after all, right? And sadly, we will not be labeling channel challenges and gameplays videos anymore. They will be categorized under other videos. That's all for season 2. We're back from the break. Here are more mind-boggling updates. Last month, SBS Transit refreshed their uniforms for bus captains, staff at bus interchanges, stations, and OCCs. This was quite a sudden change, but most commuters have gotten used to it. An 80-year-old man died after losing his balance and falling in an SBS Transit bus last month. He had stood up from his seat to alight when he fell before he could grab a pole. This occurred on board Service 262, which was making a right turn at a junction. The driver provided first aid to him and called an ambulance. In other news, SMRT detained a man after he climbed the PSGs at Boon Lay MRT to retrieve his phone that had fallen on the train tracks. Are you out of your mind? Anyway, a commuter activated the emergency stop plunger, or ESP, on the platform upon noticing the act of him climbing over the 1.5 meter tall half-height screen doors. ESPs are found on walls or pillars near PSDs and are pressed in case of emergencies, and trains will halt safely and station staff will attend to the situation. Reportedly, the ESP was activated in time for the oncoming train to halt and for staff to intervene. They immediately detained the trespasser and the police were alerted. SMRT takes these incidents seriously, as the trespasser could not only have gotten hit by a train, but could have also gotten electrocuted by the third rail's high voltage traction power. Honestly, that's just dumb. Next up, we have a 25-year-old who sexually abused minors. You see, this is what I don't like. I absolutely despise people who butcher the reputation of us transport enthusiasts. You absolute piece of a bus enthusiast who sexually abused several minors and procured videos of a minor doing an obscene act. What is this supposed to mean? How and why do you do this at 20? Was sentenced to 16 years imprisonment. Yes! And 12 strokes of the cane. Guys, at this point, this video should be titled Absolute Idiots Got What They Deserved. I do not intend to delve deeper into this topic, but this is a lesson to all you transport enthusiasts who intend to do harm to society. If you get caught, we all get caught, buddy. You're putting the community on the line. This episode, we saved the best for the last, as we will be taking you through the breaking MRT updates that were released in March. Two new MRT lines, named the Tengah and Seletar lines respectively, are under study. The Tengah line could serve places like Tengah, Bukit Batok, Queensway, and Bukit Merah, while the Seletar line, under study since 2019, could serve Sembawang, Sengkang, Serangoon North, Wampa, and Kallang. Meanwhile, the Jurong Region Line's West Coast extension will extend the JRL's East Branch southwards, cutting through Kent Ridge instead of the previous speculation of Haw Par Villa by 2040. For now, the rail project will extend the branch so that its Pandan Reservoir MRT station connects with the Cross Island line by the late 2030s. Unnamed, could you tell us why are these speculative projects in the past finally being recognized by the LTA? And how do they help commuters in the near future? To answer your first question, the main reason for this sudden change in views is due to the massive September 2024 EWL train disruption. From this 6-day disruption of doom, we can all learn that rail resilience needs to be revised, as if any such disruption happens again, we are ready with enough alternatives to fall back on. Now, as to how they help commuters, it all revolves around the topic of the Greater Southern Waterfront. The Greater Southern Waterfront, spanning from Marina East to Pasir Panjang, is a 2,000-hectare land area for future redevelopment. The LTA's aim is to add as many MRT stations or lines as possible to this area. Hence, the Tengah and Seletar lines, which could ply the area, would reinforce rail connectivity between the central and the west and north respectively. Similarly, the West Coast extension aims to reduce travelling time to the city centre from the southwest. Hence, the government is looking to add such extensions and lines to ultimately reshape our rail network for the better. Thank you, Unnamed. Several bus routes have been introduced in the past month. Here's a look at all of them. And now we have come to the end of the first episode of Friday Night News. Stay tuned for more exciting news premiering next week. Good night.